everybody. This week we're talking about 3 different types of non-consequentialism. And the first one that we address is ACT non-consequentialism. This is the type of consequentialism that is based on intuition. So basically, an example that you might find more fitting to describing this theory would be, let's say you're walking down the street and you see a wallet. You look down at the wallet and you think to yourself, wow, this wallet has $500 in it. And immediately you have this sense of right and wrong kind of wash over you. And your intuition is telling you that you should turn this wallet in to the police. Or perhaps your intuition is telling you that you should keep the wallet for yourself, but most likely you would turn it into the police, and that would be the moral choice here. Now, as you can see, this does not involve our reasoning skills in any capacity. You aren't thinking through the various consequences. You're just generally getting a sense of the situation. I know all of you have used your intuition at one point or another, where you've just generally gotten a sense that something isn't quite right, or maybe isn't quite the way that you think it should be. And so you're not using any kind of thinking here to make that determination. It just doesn't feel right to you. Now, the other 2 theories of rule non-consequentialism are a bit different. The divine command theory basically is based off of the idea that there is some kind of supernatural entity. In our case here, that God exists. So we do have to presuppose that some kind of God exists for this theory. Again, this theory is not based on reason. You're not going to make a choice by weighing out pros and cons or thinking about various consequences, but you're also not making a choice based on intuition where it just feels right or wrong. Here you're actually consulting the Word of God. So divine command theory is most often associated with the idea that you can actually talk to God and that He will respond to you in order to tell you what to do. A good example of this comes from the Bible. When Abraham suggests that Isaac should sacrifice his son. Now, another example of divine command theory has been seen by certain terrorist factions when they believe that God is speaking directly to them and telling them to kill certain people or groups of people, that they are listening to the Word of God. Now, the third type of non-consequentialism that we're exploring this week is Kant's duty ethics. Now, this is a theory based in reason, and its basic principle, it has to do with the categorical imperative. And that states that we can take a general rule, like we shouldn't kill somebody, and universalize it. That means that it's morally good if we can apply it to all people in all times, everywhere. So this is a universal theory. That means that it's not relative in nature to the individual, but it has to be applied to all cultures. So cultural relativism would not factor in here. So if you believe that there are certain laws or moral rules, really, that can be applied regardless of culture or circumstance, then you might agree with Kant. Now, another good example of Kant that we'll talk about later in the class is lying. Kant did not think that anybody should lie under any circumstance. As you can see, this is possibly not very flexible, and that lying sometimes is required in order to protect people from harm. When we get to the week that we discuss lying, you'll see that there are some arguments in terms of some people believe that Kant was not actually going quite this far or being quite this radical about his ideas on lying. But there are other philosophers that support the idea that Kant was saying absolutely there should not be any lying done at any time. So that pretty much is a basic overview of the three theories that we're covering this week under non-consequentialism. And I look forward to finding out more of your